Morning Trumptopia. Psyop versus Psyop. How can you believe either one? On today's show, let's get started. Hello and namaste, friends. Welcome to Good Morning Trumptopia. We just wished the founding father, the myth, the man, the legend, George Washington, a happy birthday. And we discussed the distinguishing of hype and mythos from real life facts. And we kind of peaked with the question of Psyop versus Psyop. So here we are. Here we are, friends. Here's what I see, right? I'm not accusing anyone of anything, but I do see trends and patterns in political pop culture. On the left, we've got the Democratic Party and its spectrum of subdivisions, fracturing and splintering over whether or not we want to be more like the Republicans or whether we want to be more like some idealized Americanified version of democratic socialists from Europe. On the right end of the spectrum, we've got the GOP, the grand old party, the Republican Party, and the many fractures within. Where we've got militant Trumptopians that don't care about anything but what Trump wants. We've got the old guard, right? The ones that are like, what the fuck did we do? Letting this particular puppet get this particular role. And here's the thing I find the most fascinating, right? That neither side likes it when I point out. I've had this conversation on the social medias in some way or another with people on both sides. And they all, both sides kind of go, well, that's the other side's the bad guy. And I've always wind up after having these kinds of conversations with the following observation. Is it just me, or is it not the height of naivete and the very proof of an echo chamber manipulation where everybody is entrenched in their own camp, convinced that their camp is righteous and true and better than everyone else's camp, and only the opposite side, the direct enemy, is crazy and corrupt and full of nonsense and subject to bullshittery. When anyone standing independent of a camp, anyone trying to set aside ideological constructs, sees that every camp is riddled with corruption, every camp reserves the right to be the true and righteous and pure one exclusively, and every camp is pointing fingers at their diametrically opposite entrenched camp. Echo chambers within echo chambers within echo chambers. It's kind of fractally in its pattern, because you'll see the left-right dynamic is echoed within either the left or the right. We're constantly talking about politicians moving to the left or to the right of their counterparts, even within the party, right? And the bases, both bases, the Republican Party's base is clashing between the Trumptopian Q blind faith believers and everybody else, and the Democratic Party is clashing between, those who just want another oligarch to fight against the current incumbent oligarch, and those that claim they want to make real radical change and are trying to find a politician that can actually make real radical change. the echo chamber system adapts and gets in there and starts causing bifurcations, even within a clearly identified echo chamber. On the left, we've got this driving, motivating factor right now. This is what's driving everybody towards some attempt at unity on the left. The Russia narrative, the Trump-Russia collusion narrative, which, by the way, I don't outright dismiss, but I also don't swallow hook, line, and sinker. Whoa! This tends to confuse people a lot, especially on the internet, in social media, where you don't have the time to give the fullest context to your comments possible. That's why I do this show. Because I realize that having these little tiny conversations with people is good, and, encouraging everyone to question their assumptions is always something worth pursuing, but I don't have the time to retype my position over and over again in its fullest context. So instead of trying, I'm here on this show and letting myself ramble so that, my context can be heard and people can then bring more intelligent debate than just, you're a leftist, you're a rightist. I get accused of being both constantly. It's kind of ridiculous. So the left has, their shining heroes in a white hat, the military intelligence community, which they constantly prop up and respect and admire and uphold as true patriots, nonpartisans, who work for the well-being and the safety of our institutions and government. And these individuals, these authorities, these trusted military intelligence assets, these spy masters, are to be trusted. Okay. On the right, we have the countervailing narrative that everything the left says is a lie. Everything the left says is an engineered psyop originating from the deep state players that are all associated with the military intelligence community. And they should not be trusted. Except, wait, hold on a second. We have our own super special, super righteous, totally deluxe, different from the rest of the military intelligence community, military intelligence asset. That, against all norms and probably some laws, is, quote, working with the president. Right? Separation of powers, dude. Separation of powers. But whatevs. That doesn't matter, because the president is the only one that can fight the New World Order, whatever the fuck that is. Never mind that every Republican president in modern history has owned, has touted, has been proudly, expressing their desire to work to achieve the New World Order. Don't believe me? Look up George W. Bush, New World Order. Tell me how many YouTube clips you find. Go back through actual archives. Read the actual transcripts from speeches given by George Sr., George Jr. Oh, but wait, guess what? Every Democratic president in contemporary American modern history has also openly acknowledged that they are indeed in favor of pursuing the New World Order. So only Trump is opposed to that, even though he is a former Democrat who's buddies with all the Democratic presidents and has given money to both sides and has always been deeply entrenched in the behind the scenes workings of the things that are supposed to be, all the evil, intolerable corruptions of presidential politics, right? Never mind that he went to Epstein Island at least 2 times, 3 times, I think. I could be wrong about that. And that he's gone out of his way to make sure that any other documentation about that relationship does not come to light. Okay? Now, I'm not making accusations. I don't know. But I've seen enough evidence to make the personal determination. I can speak with confidence that it is naive to blindly believe the statement that Trump had nothing to do with that problem. Just as it is naive, in my humble opinion, and I'm not trying to bash anybody here, I'm saying that we should question more, right? It is naive to believe that a rich, corrupt oligarch, which is what he is, like his factual history throughout my entire life is that of someone who cuts corners in a way that you wouldn't want done to you, that cheats employees, that hires illegal immigrants to this day, despite deporting some of the illegal immigrants that he employed or has employed in the past, he continues to hire them. Why? Who knows? Because they're easier to abuse, I suppose. They're certainly cheaper. It's mind-boggling, right? Like, the flaws in this guy as a person are right there on the surface. And then couple that with this absolutely absurd idea that the very thing now, I don't blindly trust any government, right? A quick and thorough and honest review of political history on this planet should make anyone wary of government accruing too much power and falling for corruption and ego trap. That's what government does. Because, well, according to the theory I'm trying to present, that's what government is. Right? In my humble opinion, no offense to politicians out there who have enjoyed a successful and profitable career, government is not, the way it takes shape now and has for most of our adult life, is not necessary at all. And in lieu of the things that are necessary, we are being tricked and cajoled and fooled and co-opted and coerced into participating into a treadmill distractionary entertainment vehicle of an activity instead of actually attending to the problems that we face as a community of communities. Right? Okay, so Psyop versus Psyop. The left believes in the good intentions of the institutional agencies responsible for, quote, national security. The Republicans, Trump's base at any rate, holds the self-contradictory view that the swamp must be drained while simultaneously believe and support and refuse to challenge crony, nepotistic political favoritism. And while they point fingers at the military intelligence community and say, you are the problem. You are the NWO corrupting our beautiful land of the free and the brave. You are the deep state. You are the military industrial complex trying to fuck us over. While simultaneously believing the garbage that comes out of a source that is positioned and self-described as being in the thick and heart of all of that clusterfuck that they claim should not be trusted. Both sides are like, we trust military intelligence assets to tell us what to think. But those other guys over there are full of shit because they are military intelligence assets. How the mother, like, what the actual fuck? Pick a motherfucking lane, Trumptopia. Like, you have to stop falling for this echo chamber of division, or we're going to destroy ourselves as a nation state, which may or may not actually be the New World Order agenda, right? For all their promises of fighting. See, every politician I've ever observed directly, and I get it, it's easy to think that I've been manipulated by some outlet. But I call all outlets into question, right? I call all sources into question. The only source that I am satisfied with is that which resides in the spiritual realm. And that source is mysterious and ooky and kind of hard to, like, it doesn't do things overtly very much, except for when it does. But that's a whole nother episode. When it comes to the problems that politics create through the act of politics, right? Politicians create problems by doing what politicians do, and then they promise to solve those problems, and then they rarely ever solve those problems that they themselves created because they were too busy creating more problems. And what do we do about it? We get up in arms and self-righteous about how it's your politician's fault, not mine. My politician is righteous and true and is sent to me by God. What the fuck, yo? Seriously, I'm a spiritual person and I believe in a higher power. I've had experiences that to me and my understanding of things go beyond belief, that they verify, confirm, and prove to me that there is a higher power. But in that confirmation, it verifies and confirms to me that it does not operate in any of the nonsensical ways that we have been told it does. Most especially this bullshit about special chosen politicians leading special chosen divine groups of people and fighting all other people in the name of that chosen divine messenger. That's a load of hogwash, because the divinity that I know as a practical, pragmatic reality in the universe is directly responsible for all of life existing. Not some of us. It's not like the divinity that actually exists only made white people and then everyone else came from some other place or some other source or some other creator. That thing which is actually the divine is responsible for all that is life. Why the fuck would it choose Donald Trump to be special above everybody else and then give him the power and the authority to do a bunch of dickhole things like separate children in concentration camps? Like funneling money from the military to build a really pointless wall that will cost way too much money to upkeep and does not do the job it is supposed to be doing at all. Like, it's a miserable failure. And yet, he's getting away with it. And we also don't know how much money, what percentage of that money is being funneled through, bullshit shell corp wasting. I digress, though, right? Because I don't mean to I'm speculating here, and I'm sharing my opinion about things. I am most certainly not making unfounded accusations. What I am encouraging people to do is to think and question. If it sounds like an echo chamber conflict-causing psyop, if it acts like an echo chamber conflict-causing psyop, if it renders precisely what an echo chamber conflict-causing psyop is designed to render in practical terms, i.e. conflict, then maybe, just maybe, it's a motherfucking echo chamber conflict-causing psyop. I find it pretty interesting that within the Democratic tent, there are people that are like, there are factions that are like, we don't trust certain institutions inside the government, and we do need to do something about those problems because they're causing it. There's also people within the Republican Party and or within the Anon community that are like, this Q thing is a fucking psyop and we're going to expose it. Because it's totally co-opt the movement we were building, right? This is, in my humble opinion, exactly what the system of oppression does in order to keep humanity busy running on the treadmill they designed, as opposed to solving the problems that we face as a species. And the proof? 40 years. How many problems have we solved? Just 40 years. We've created more problems than we have actually solved. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. I might be wrong about this. And if you bring me hardcore, easy to digest, evidentiary proof, facts that we have solved more problems than we have created between 2020 and what the fuck was 40 years ago? 2000 was 20 years ago. So 1980. 1980 to 1990, that's a decade, right? 1990 to 2000, that's 2. 2010, yeah. So from 1980 to today, I suspect, it is my humble opinion that it is very likely that as a nation state, as a community of communities, as a people, as a nation, and as a planet, as a community of nations, right? We have collectively fucked up more shit, made more problems, complicated existing problems further than we have solved any problems. And that a bunch of the problems we solved were things we did not need to solve. Changed my mind. This has been Good Morning Trumptopia, a special segment of the Almost Daily Zencast. I am your host, the incorrigible Mr. Zeppo. I humbly thank you for lending me your ears and welcoming me into your mental headspace. Do not blind faith believe anything I say. Question, investigate, research, and let me know what you think, whether you disagree, whether you agree, or whether you're not sure. You can find me on Facebook at the Almost Daily Zencast Facebook page. You can find my fictional character page for the incorrigible Mr. Zeppo. And you can find my real life secret identity page, all by typing in Mr. Zeppo. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram. If you are on an awesome, crazy, new, cutting edge, dynamic, changing, social media disrupting app that I haven't heard of, let me know. Send me the link. I want in. There's a bunch that I've checked out, and I'm going to do an episode about that. But for now, I just want to say thank you. I want to say may peace, love, and grooviness blossom in your mind and heart. And I want to invite you to tune in. Oh, by the way, if you're totally new to the show, thank you. You can hop around and listen to the show in any order. Yes, it's topical. Yes, some of the titles may seem a bit out of date now. I've been doing this show on and off for 3 years. But all of it is interrelated and interconnected. And all of it is actually, finally for reals, getting the reboot, remix, upload. So there's going to be like fresh content in old episodes, etc., etc. Until next time, be good humans and or robots that think they're humans.